Hello friend, how are you?
Wow. Yeah. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you. Ciao! So nice to see you,
Hey,
man.
I realize I need to click one button called.
Oh yeah,
Ex-
don't worry. So,
hey,
I was just introducing you and
yes.
I was telling the chat that you did several things in the micro music community and history. You did the visuals as the Seaman with
Yeah.
Amiga, and but lately, well, in the last few years, you've had the Poke project with the MSX, with which you do ambient music using an MSX and a tracker. So, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I was going to say we probably know each other from Eindbaas, I think.
Yeah, we met each. I think the first time we've met was we met at a few Einbus. I think the
Yeah.
first time I met you was when you did visuals for the party organized by Einbus and the 303030303.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah.
was Akira 8GB and Sifax Asset
CFAX.
Crew. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say I've been VJing, I think, for almost, let's say, 25 years, I think, using
Whoa.
the Amiga. So I'm one of the oldest, longest active VJs in the Netherlands, and always used Amiga computers. But the first computer that I had when I was a kid was an MSX computer. A lot of friends had a C64, but for some stupid reason I had an MSX, and there were not that many friends that also had an MSX. But yeah,
You know,
it's a computer I grew up with.
I'm going to translate in Italian from time to time because what you
Sure.
just said is a very close to the art story for many Italians because here as well the Commodore 64 was king
Yeah.
in terms of numbers, and people exchanged games at school and it was all Commodore 64 games, and but if you had an MSX you were kind of alone. Comunque sta dicendo che lui ha fatto visual come VJ per quasi 30 anni e che ha fatto visual con l'Amiga e
Sì.
che ultimamente lavora con l'MSX e ha citato l'episodio che è molto comune per molti di noi, che quando tutti avevano il Commodore 64 lui aveva l'MSX. The MSX is quite well loved in Italy, by the way. It's
Ah,
not.
I had no idea. Yeah, it's in the Netherlands. It was popular because Philips made a lot of different MSX models, and also Sony was a very popular hi-fi and television brand in the Netherlands. So there was a strong connection with the Netherlands and the MSX. Yeah, because of Philips being a Dutch company and that they produced many. But yeah, as you said, you were I guess you were a bit of a loner if you had an MSX, and I think we were swapping cassettes so we could copy games from each other. And yeah, there was a little community of people that still used MSX computers. Yeah, and I swapped to the Amiga. I first had an Amiga 500 when I was in high school, and then later on a 1200, and I kept it till now. But then at some point, I was working in a record shop in my hometown, and I was playing some electro tracks while I was working. And then somebody came in and said, "Oh, no, that's nice. This actually sounds like FMPEG music." And I thought, "Oh, okay, that's a weird thing to say." I said, "Like, yeah, you mean the MSX FMPEG?" And he said, "Yeah." And then we started having a conversation, and he said, there's a whole website dedicated to this called msx.org, where a lot of people, if you want to do something with music stuff, get on there and people can help you. So that's what I did. I eventually bought an MSX computer and like a better one, and then over time collected the necessary cartridges to start making music, and then I started making tunes on the MSX.
Okay, so let's show, if you want, a little bit of how the music works. What is your setup on the MSX? Of course, I will. I am linking in the chat your Bandcamp
Alright.
because I really love ambient music.
Nice.
And because I work with words, I translate
Yeah.
video games for a living, and I need
Yeah.
music that doesn't speak. And and I love ambient stuff, and I love micro music and everything, and your stuff. I've listened a lot to your stuff in the last few
Nice.
years. Quindi guardate
Yeah.
qua. I am linking your Bandcamp, sto mettendo la sua pagina di Bandcamp, dopo ce la guardiamo bene, è tutta ambient, fatta con l'MSX, come? Scopriamolo, let's see.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I was sort of making a challenge for myself, because usually I make tunes when it's dark, in the evening. And at some point I thought, let's see if I can make something without beats and make some ambient music. And I think the first couple of tracks I made in like 5 or 6 years ago, and then really didn't do anything with them until a friend of mine from my hometown who has a small record label said, like, yeah, would you want to do a release on our labels? Sure. Sounds like a nice idea. And then said, like, yeah, what about an hour? And I thought, oh shit, that's a lot of tracking to do.
An hour.
So it took me a lot of time to finish an hour of tracks, but it was Corona anyway, and there were lockdowns, so perfect to get inside your house and write tracks. But yeah, as for the computer, I can move the camera a little bit so you can see the sound cartridges that I use, which are, I don't know if you can see them.
Oh yes, we can. What are we looking at?
All right, the pink big one is a Philips music module, and the small one is an FM pack. Let's see. Those are the main sound cartridges that I use when I'm writing music. It's OPL and OPLL, so it's a very simple form of FM synthesis.
How many operators?
2.
So it's very, very basic.
It's very, very basic. But the thing is, I think, and this was something that was the norm in the MSX demo scene, was that these 2 sound chips were considered to be the standard, so to say, for making demos. Of course, you have the SCC from Konami, which if you have a Nintendo, you're probably familiar with it. It's the wavetable sound chip that Konami made because they weren't happy with how the MSX sounded. So they made an extra sound chip with I think 5 or 6 channels of wavetable sounds. But also the music module was something that they planned to integrate into all the MSX2 computers.
But they didn't.
But today, no, I think it was too expensive at the time. So they were released as standalone cartridges. And the one that Philips has actually has MIDI in, out, through. It has a microphone, like a little microphone to sample while speaking in it. Mini jack inputs, so you can sample something. Actually, it's quite the nice sound chip. And then the FM pack is something that that was released in Japan, and they integrated these into the MSX Turbo R computer, which was the top of the line MSX, and some MSX2 Plus computers also have this.
I will translate a little.
Yeah.
Ci ha mostrato il suo setup, avete visto due cartuccioni, uno è il sound module della Philips, l'altro è la cassettina con il chip FM, entrambe delle cose che sarebbero forse state dovute integrare nell'MSX2, cosa che in realtà non è successa. Questa combo di cassette che lui usa per fare musica è anche considerata un pochettino lo standard dalla demo scene. Lui ovviamente è attivo anche in ambito della demo scene. Quando si parla di demo per MSX spesso si pensa a questo setup. Quick translation. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah, so the funny thing about the MSX is because it doesn't really have a standard sound chip. Well, the original sound chip is the AY38910, the one that you also have, I think, in a bunch of other computers, probably Amstrad or later models of the ZX Spectrum have them. That was the main sound chip, but because there's also this Konami sound chip and those FM sound chips, every you had so many sound chips to choose from. There's also a Moon Sound, which is OPL4 FM cartridge, and nowadays people are also making sound chips that uses Sega sound chips, etc. So every sound chip combination has a specific tracker for it. So there are loads and loads of different sound tools. You can also use MML, this weird, macro language for creating music.
It's pretty awesome. I tried. It's really hard. I tried lots of years ago.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. Yeah, but yeah, luckily I'm using something called Moon Blaster, which is the tracker that I use for making music on the MSX. Can you see the screen well, or should I move it a little closer?
We can see it just fine. We can see just
All
fine.
right.
Maybe let's move a little closer. Just a little closer.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, I can see it perfectly. So this is
Okay.
Moon Blaster, and
Yeah.
I guess this was it's pretty relatively recent tracker, correct?
Yeah, I don't know when it was written, but it must be, 10 years old at least. Yeah, it's from I would say from the 90s when from the demo scene era. And yeah, as you can see, it has quite a lot of channels. So you have the 9 FM channels that you can use on this music module sound cartridge. And then there are 6 that you can use on the FM pack, but you can combine them. So one channel can play both sound chips at the same time.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see both MSX audio
Yeah.
and both. Yeah, okay, on the
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. So it could sound like this. For instance.
This is very cool. It's a cool looking tracker. It looks pretty nice as a tracker. Let me just translate. Allora, se voi guardate questa schermata del tracker, allora nei tracker si muove tutto dall'alto verso il basso. Ha detto che ha molti canali. Guardate qua, io sul Game Boy ho 4 canali di cui uno fa solo noise. Qua abbiamo canale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 canali che possono usare entrambi o l'audio dell'MSX e basta, o l'audio del Sound Expander, o entrambi. Go on.
Yeah, that's I sort of that's it's funny that it combines. Oh, and also it uses the PSG sound chip, but it reduces this to. Over here you see a thing called DRM, which is drum channel.
Drum channel?
Yes, yeah, it's really stupid. So it kind of combines some sounds of the FM pack with the PSG sound chip, but you would have 3 channels of PSG, but this is reduced to a drum channel.
Ah, drum! Okay,
Yeah.
I thought drunk channel.
No.
I would love a drunk channel, like, yeah!
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if you have a lot of beers, yeah.
Yeah, it's a drunk channel.
But yeah, I usually, because this is so, it's limited, but you can make some nice sounds with it if you do strange alterations on it. But usually I use the sample channel for drums, and then I make extra FM drums, etc. So somewhere midway. So what you can see is, well, these are obviously notes. And the shitty thing about this tracker is if you want to cut a note off or change the volume, or you can also have, add the cutoff frequency, so to say. Every time you give a command like this, like sustain or off or a note off, you sacrifice this position in your pattern, so you can't do anything else.
This is quite unwieldy and bad in a tracker, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's, normally you have an extra column where you can have effects. I guess this is the way on the Game Boy, right?
Yeah. And that's why I was wondering what the CMD column all to the right does.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, there are a couple of commands that you can give, which is like this. And now you see it will jump.
Okay. Okay. So it's a channel-wide command line. Let me just translate. Allora, ci sta mostrando ovviamente i pregi di questo tracker che si chiama Moon Blaster. Questo tracker è stato fatto nell'era della demo scene, quindi ben dopo lo sviluppo dell'MSX vero e proprio. I tracker hanno delle posizioni che vanno verso il basso, ognuno di questi trattini è uno step, è del tempo che passa, e mi stava mostrando una particolarità in realtà negativa di questo tracker, perché tu a ogni nota di default che metti sul tracker, volendo puoi applicare non degli effetti, ma puoi modificarla in qualche modo. Questi sono i comandi nel mondo dei tracker. Su Game Boy e su moltissimi altri tracker tu hai la colonna per le tue note e la colonna nella quale puoi mettere i comandi. Quindi io volendo posso mettere una nota qua e qua mettere un comando che dice taglia questa nota senza fumarmi uno step dove posso mettere note. Qua invece questo step te lo fumi perché il comando convive con le note. I didn't expect this. This is very interesting, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's because this was written with a demo scene was making demos in mind, and not so much for making music. Although in recent years there have been new trackers that can actually do this. There's one thing called Trilo Tracker, which uses SCC and FMPEG. And there's something called Oracle, which also does it, but you would need a slightly faster computer because it can make use of all the sound channels separately, as in here they're combined, but then I guess you would have like 18 different channels or something, or even more. Yeah. But it takes more calculation time, yeah. But yeah, I always thought the sacrificing a step thing is stupid. But the thing is, if you want to make sounds, there's a different menu here. You have select voices, which is where you select voices. Set start voices. This is where you set the sounds that you've made or selected and assign them to a channel. And there's something called create own voice, and this is where you actually do the sounds crafting part.
So every channel, you can only have one instrument per channel, correct? Or can you change it through the song?
Yeah, you can change it through the song, but of course you would have to sacrifice one step, and you say I for instruments, and then you say I6, and that means change to instrument 6.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's not really well. You have lots of channels, so you don't have to do that channel economy you usually do in
yeah.
chiptune. But it wouldn't make sense to have two instruments living in the
Swapping.
same channel. Okay.
Yeah, it's usually because I record them in the end per channel. So for me, it's useful to know that the first two channels are the strings,
Yeah.
the third is bass line, for instance. But the thing is because we have, because you have more channels, you have more luxury. You don't necessarily need to swap instruments. Like you don't have to be. You're not limited to the resources in that sense.
Nice. Let me translate.
Yep.
Normalmente nei tracker tu puoi cambiare strumento così e puoi avere di fatto, io con i miei pezzi sul Game Boy banalmente sul mio canale Wave ho tre strumenti almeno che vanno contemporaneamente perché faccio un colpo di cassa che è uno strumento, un colpo di basso che è uno strumento e un colpo di rullante che è un altro strumento. Quindi sui tracker normali puoi fare convivere facilmente più strumenti nello stesso canale con delle grosse limitazioni, facendo quella che si chiama economia dei canali, perché ce ne hai pochi e devi risparmiare, mentre invece qua, col fatto che da un lato ha tanti canali, ma tu assegni uno strumento a un canale. Puoi cambiare lo strumento, sì, ma devi usare un comando e quindi ti devi fumare uno step, come dicevamo prima. Ok.
Yeah. So as far as the menu goes, let's see. Here you can change. This is the more like the operator and
Yeah.
carrier part, where you can, if you adjust these, you can make either a square wave or a saw.
Ah, yes.
Etc. You can make vibrato. This is the amount of noise, sort of, that you mix in, and these are the what is it? There's the key scale level, which is if you like on a piano, the higher notes are usually softer in volume than the lower ones. So you can change that here. Then this determines if if something is like a short note or if the sustain and release things work on it. And here are the ADSR parameters, the envelope parameters. And then this is for mixing in.
Okay, let me explain. I will tell you. I will tell you in Italian a few
Yeah,
words about FM synthesis.
yeah,
Allora, qua quello che ci sta facendo vedere è come funziona la creazione degli strumenti. Ci sono nella storia dei videogiochi ci sono principalmente due tipi, o tre tipi di sintesi. Una sintesi a wavetable che quindi va a prendere delle onde sostanzialmente già fatte, la cosiddetta sintesi sottrattiva, che è quella che vediamo sul Game Boy con dei generatori e poi in seguito di modificatori e dei filtri, mentre la sintesi FM parte dal presupposto incredibile che si possa fare che si possono fare un sacco di suoni partendo solo da delle onde sinusoidali combinate in vari modi appunto a modulazione di frequenza. FM sta per frequency modulation. La sintesi FM è un filo poco intuitiva perché c'è tutta una questione di operatori, di portanti, non è così banale. La sintesi FM è anche il suono che riconoscete per un sacco di cose degli anni 80 e 90. Banalmente il Mega Drive aveva un chip FM, le macchine arcade avevano chip FM e le tastiere che usavano i Depeche Mode avevano i synth FM. Prego.
all right. Yeah, so there's one screen for composing everything, and you can switch through the different patterns here. You see here on the screen. I hope you can still see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But,
We see the
all
screen
right.
perfectly.
Yeah, and then there's this rather useful thing where you can say, all right, I want at this position, I want to play this pattern. So it's you can also copy blocks by selecting a bunch of notes, and you can do it per channel or like
Yeah.
whole yeah. And you can copy paste it with Control C, Control V, I think. Yeah.
It is a computer
So
after all. It really is
yeah,
a computer.
yeah, it has its strange things, the sacrificing a step thing, but then you work with the keyboard, it makes it a lot easier, and also for crafting sounds, I think it's nice that you have a keyboard for this. This is not a track, by the way. Let's see. Sorry.
I love the sound. I
Yeah,
think that, from artist to artist, I think this is some very elegant programming and a very elegant sound design. I really love your stuff, man. I really, really
thank you.
do.
Yeah, I was going to say the majority of people that make music on this usually just made either typical demo C music or Vangelis or Jean-Michel Jarre sounding stuff, which is, I guess, what people liked or was trendy at the time. But I grew up listening, I love more IDM in electronica stuff, and it's because I was messing around with these FM sounds, or actually, I was making a radio program and used MSX music that I never heard because I never had this FM pack stuff, and I thought, oh, these are interesting sounds. They remind me of, say, Autechre or D'Arcangelo, or
D'Arcangelo grande.
yeah, I really like old Reflex stuff, Warp record stuff. So yeah, I try to approach that sort of sound. Yeah, it's what I would like to listen to myself mostly. So yeah, I enjoy making IDM stuff with this.
Somebody in the chat was about to ask you what are your music influences, and
Yeah,
you just gave a
yeah,
wonderful answer.
yeah,
Before looking at your MSX collection, I would like to
yeah.
show the art you made for this album. Let's say the album you can find the album on Bandcamp. There's several releases actually. From also you have to explain the name in a while. Ma comunque ragazzi ha un sacco di uscite, sono tutte veramente belle, bellissime, ve le consiglio. E il disco nuovo, che è quello di cui stiamo parlando oggi, Selected F Ambient Works 8280, è in pre-order, ci sarà anche in cassettina. E adesso parliamo del fronte artistico.
The question was what the name?
It was no question yet. Before going to the MSX collection, let's talk about the release, because
Yeah, sure.
your album when is the album going to be available?
It's going to be available the 2nd of December, but it's in pre-order now. So you can order it, and there are a couple of tracks that you can pre-listen to, and then it will be available either as a digital download, but also as a cassette. And if you order the cassette, you get these prints, which are
Oh yes.
Yes, please.
Wait, I will I can show
Yeah,
them. Yeah. Ok, avete visto come sono? Adesso ve le faccio vedere ve le faccio vedere per bene. And you made the artworks as well.
yeah, I did. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, it's done on with After Effects. There's a 3D tool, and a friend of mine who lives in the same building as I do, he made like the music module that I use a lot. He made a 3D model of it, and then I put it in his program and started tweaking with it and adding bits and pieces of various other 3D objects. And so it's a yeah, like a collection of sound cartridges and little things,
it's
which is
beautiful. It really is
yeah, it's a lot of
beautiful.
fun to shoot. Yeah, thanks.
And you,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a VJ after all, and my my work is also my regular job is making videos for companies and animations and that sort of thing. So yeah, I always enjoy making artwork for other people as well. I think yeah, I made stuff for Jenica and for Psylodump and yeah, a bunch of other people, little scale, and yeah, it's always nice to see if you can translate what the music that you listen to sounds like or feels like, and then there's a strong connection between visuals and music for me. That must be the VJing thing, I guess. Yeah.
ok, I will
Yeah.
translate. Allora, chi si prende l'uscita in cassettina riceverà anche questi tre artwork che ha fatto lui lavorandoci in After Effects e sono molto belli. Lui ovviamente dice mi è sempre piaciuto fare arte, fare illustrazioni e cose per la musica di miei amici. Lì per esempio parlava che ha fatto artwork per Little Scale. Little Scale come piccola bilancia, un artista australiano che è stato importantissimo per la storia della micromusic perché ha sviluppato moltissimi tool che abbiamo poi usato tutti e lui giustamente Julian fa il VJ faceva il VJ con l'Amiga che è poi come ci siamo conosciuti e quindi dice, mi sono fatto io gli artwork, questi artwork sono inclusi nella cassettina e I really love the artworks. I really, really love the
Thanks.
artworks. And I really love the fact that you made a tape because I do listen to tapes. I,
Yeah.
I, I'm, I got myself an old Walkman
Oh, cool.
and I really do listen to cassettes because
Yeah.
it's really nice to go for a walk without my cell phone, without any smartphone, and still have music. And it's really nice to have tapes, to choose the tape. And I really think that tapes shine with ambient music. I think it's a really appropriate format.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about it. Now that you say that you like to go on walks and don't take your phone with you. If you think about it, Sony was the inventor of the Walkman, and that format eventually became a Discman, and that became an iPod and or an MP3 player. And yeah, I mean, it still works in the same way, doesn't it? Or now you have a cell phone and you use what is it, like Bluetooth headphones. But the idea is still the same. It's still an evolution from the Sony Walkman
Yeah.
to yeah, it's funny, and indeed tape adds something to the sound, which also brings me to the title, of course. What is it? It's of course a parody and a joke on selected ambient works from Aphex Twin. The first one, selected ambient works 85-92. And a lot of those tracks also came from cassettes. And it adds, of course, character to the sound. Also, I'm also a big fan of Autechre, who have one album where if you have the CD version, it says incomplete without surface noise, and if you have it on record, it says complete with surface noise, because you get the element of vinyl. Yeah, and the same goes for tape. It adds a character or it adds something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think tape really adds something to this very kind of music. Luca Fire, which by the way is a very good demo singer from Italy, wrote, if my mind doesn't juggle facts and data, Poke-1 170 on MSX systems is used to swap the RAM location from low to high. Is it correct?
Yeah, and specifically for Philips machines. This is the thing, that's why I chose this artist name. As a kid, whenever I was playing Konami games, but they were ripped to tape, you need to allocate it of course is originally on a cartridge in a cartridge slot, and you sort of fake the MSX into thinking the cassette game that you just loaded is actually a cartridge. So that's why as a kid, I had to type this all the time when playing Konami games.
Ah, and so it's in there for you. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And it's -255 for Sony machines. -1.255. Yeah. But he's correct. It's that's actually it's true. Yeah.
Ok, allora in buona sostanza il suo nome d'arte che si è scelto, Poke-1 170, era il Poke quando buttavi un comandino a un registro che serviva a scambiare la posizione della RAM da bassa a alta, e lui questa cosa la faceva doveva digitarlo praticamente sempre quando giocava con i giochi Konami, perché di fatto serviva per convincere l'MSX l'MSX della Philips, tra l'altro specifica, che la proprio cassetta che stava utilizzando fosse in realtà una cartuccia. Ok.
Yeah.
So I am very curious. Show us your MSXs.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a lot of them also on the shelf still, but I started collecting these because, that's also an interesting thing, as in a Commodore 64 is a Commodore 64, and it's sort of one model, but the idea behind MSX, it's a platform, so to say, as in it's not one computer, it's Microsoft and ASCII Corporation collaborated on making an exchangeable platform where you could, if it didn't matter if you had a Sony or a Toshiba or a Yamaha MSX.
It's a standard.
Sorry?
It's a standard, basically.
It's a standard, yeah, exactly. So the nice thing is that there are shitloads of different MSX computers. For instance, there are MSXs with Laserdisc players. Also, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the CD-ROM was first integrated into the MSX because, Philips and Sony, of course, invented CD. And some also claim, or at least this Kai Nishi guy, the Japanese man from ASCII Corporation, also said that the MPEG standard was developed for MSX originally, or sort of is integrated with this for some reason. But yeah, the nice thing is you have all the standard things should be the same, so you can run the software on all the computers. But then, there are a lot of different add-ons. Some have 3 cartridge slots, some have disk drives, some have like a tablet
Surface
build.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me translate. Allora, questo in realtà voi di Kenobisboch lo sapete, l'MSX è uno standard, nel senso, mentre il Commodore 64 era quello, l'MSX era uno standard che ha permesso a svariati manufacturer diversi di fare il loro MSX. Doveva rispettare una serie di caratteristiche tecniche, ma poi ogni manufacturer ha fatto il suo, e questo ha portato a tantissime varietà e anche a tantissime evoluzioni di MSX. Ci ha detto che alcuni MSX avevano addirittura un lettore Laserdisc, alcuni avevano i floppy, alcuni avevano delle tavolette grafiche. Pare che addirittura lo standard MPEG, quindi quello di compressione video, sia stato sviluppato in origine per gli MSX. Insomma, l'MSX se siete dei collezionisti, spegnete subito questo stream, perché collezionare l'MSX è un disastro, perché ce ne sono tantissimi, sono tutti bellissimi, diversi e più o meno costosi. Ciao Skywalker76, sei nel posto giusto se ti piace l'MSX. So, Julian, let's see some stuff.
Let's see, here's a Sony one.
With two cards.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you can carry it with you, there's a handle. So, yeah, I always like the design of this one. Let's see if I'll move the camera back a little bit.
If you use if you use this one to make music, you wouldn't need the extender because you would already have two card slots?
Let's see, I think this is an MSX1, so
yeah,
I couldn't
okay,
run it
so
on it.
not working.
But yeah, this has two cartridge slots, but so does the MSX that I use. But I also use one cartridge which has micro SD slots.
Okay.
So I can put my music on it, but then I would only have one slot left. So I have a slot expander, which is a cartridge where you can put 4 cartridges in at the same time.
So it's basically 4 multiplexed cartridges.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So this is the Sony one. I also have this one in white.
Oh, yes.
And there's also a red version of it, which would be even more amazing.
Andrea Babic, one of the members of this channel, has the red one.
Oh, lucky him.
Yeah, he spent a fortune to get it. Oh, look at this.
I guess you can buy them from Yahoo auctions. I still see a lot of nice, but I never bothered ordering anything from it. Yeah, a Panasonic of some kind, an MSX2. What's here? Yashica.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's see. Here's a Canon.
Oh, they are all beautiful. They are all beautiful. Yeah. A Canon. Yeah. A Canon. Yeah.
Here's something that was used in sound studios more.
More to the center. Light. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. This was with music built in mind.
Yeah, I think it has a 4-operator FM built into this.
Ok.
Yeah.
Quello lì era molto adatto per fare musica perché era stato pensato così, aveva un chip FM con 4 operatori. Non mi metterò a spiegare cos'è un operatore nel mondo dell'FM, ma tutta la musica che ci ha fatto sentire lui prima è fatta con 2 operatori. Gone.
And it's a Yamaha, so this makes sense because Yamaha invented FM chips. I think also you could order a separate keyboard with it, like a piano keyboard, and it had some like small use in music studios. This weird one.
Wow.
Yeah, it has this weird edge, of which I have no idea why it's there, but it's edgy.
It's I love this about the old design of these computers because they had character. I think that the more we went to the optimization and reduction of the size, we lost all of the character. Like now all the phones are like this and all the computers are like this, and I think there is a lot of design and beautiful stuff in there. There's a question from Luca Fire. Your Yashica is the French version with the RGB connector?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so. No, it only has Kinch outputs here. I can show
yeah. So it's an RF output and the RCA output.
Yeah. This is the one that I had as a kid.
Oh yes. I think you can. If you can center the webcam more to keep you in
frame.
Yeah, in frame. Thank you. Perfect.
This one, and this one has a built-in design program, so you can do drawings. And I really like this one because this is the smallest.
How cool is that? It's beautiful.
Yeah, and also I think it's extremely useless. It's very limited in memory, and the keys are rubber. but I really like the design of this. Yeah.
Yeah, rubber keys. I have a Spectrum, and the rubber keys are just beautiful, but rubbish.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought as much. Yeah, I have a bunch of other MSXs on the shelf, but yeah, these are just a couple of the ones that I have. But I think there must be over, I don't know, like between 150, 200 different MSX computers, I guess, something. Yeah.
Ci sono più di... non sappiamo, cioè non abbiamo il dato preciso in questo momento, ma ci sono tra i 100 e le 200 variazioni possibili di MSX. That is beautiful, man. It's really beautiful. I think if you want, and if you're having fun, maybe we can organize another show. I'm flying to Argentina in a few days, and I'll be back in December. By then,
Right.
the album will be out. We might
Yeah.
make another show like this one, and we
Yeah.
only look at MSXs. We look at we look at them all because it's so fascinating that they are all the same computer, but with these wildly different designs and manufacturers and design philosophies. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's one that I think is considered the holy grail in collecting. It's a Korean company, and they're called Zemix, and those are by far the prettiest game consoles I've ever seen in my life. But they're
What can you spell the name for me?
yeah, it's Zemix. That's a Zemmix. Zemix.
Ah, okay.
And they made a bunch of different models. That they have pastel colors and they
Wait, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, these are the old ones, but there's one that's shaped like a kidney. Well, this is a new one. This one was built a couple of years ago.
Ah, okay,
but,
yeah, it's I know. Okay, I get.
But there's a red one that is shaped like a kidney, sort of like this is, but then it's all rounded. I guess you must be, if you look at images, you'll probably see where it is. And these are the new ones,
These
all
are
the new models.
new ones. Ah, the Zen Mix Neo. Let's see if I just say this. No page, okay. Zen Mix MSX. Why? It's rare. It's even rare on the on Google.
Oh, there it is. This one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Let's see, you can copy paste it in the
Yes, please.
in the chat on Instagram. Hold on. Yeah, I sent you the link through Instagram. But yeah, these are by far the nicest ones to get, I think.
It kind of looks like a Roomba though. Like it feels like it can vacuum my floors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're super rare, and you hardly ever see these on eBay. And if they ever appear, they go for, I don't know, 500 euros or up. I guess they're super rare. Yeah, as you say. I mean, at some point, I guess with the PC era, everything became the same-ish, gray, white, yellowish color. All the computers, yeah, I guess it's an efficiency thing. But it really destroyed the aesthetics of home computer design. The reason why I love collecting home computers is because everything has a design aesthetic to it, and there's still one sort of thing I also want to get. It's an Atari XEGS, which to me is, like the highlight of 80s computer design. Yeah, I just enjoy seeing the design philosophy, the experimentation in materials, in shapes and colors. which makes collecting MSX computers so much fun because there's loads and loads of stuff to pick from. Yeah.
Infatti, allora, questo è un discorso che faccio anche io spesso. Lui dice l'ottimizzazione nella storia dell'informatica, dell'home computing ha portato a una standardizzazione della forma delle macchine. Ormai la forma di un computer non è più parte del messaggio. E dice io amo collezionare gli MSX perché ogni macchina aveva un suo design. You know what, Julian? We yesterday night, the Atari the one with the pastel buttons you were clicking on.
Yeah.
Yesterday we did a showcase about that because a friend of ours, Danilo, has one, and that is a beautiful machine, and that is of course a very good example of how machines had a very nuanced character as in terms of design. Like it was part of the identity of a machine.
Yeah, and I think this also goes for old arcade machines, especially the 8-bit games. As in, it looked all pretty blocky. But if you went to an arcade, the design of the side panels, they really spoke to the imagination. As in the game, of course, is very pixely. But say Galaga, for instance, has a beautiful side on the arcade machine, and so many other games. It had something inspiring to it, which is something that I think kind of lacks with modern computers and stuff.
I totally agree. So, to recap, ci sono, lui è in arte musicale Poke. Vedete, vi ho messo il suo Poke-1 vi ho messo il link al suo Bandcamp. Ha fatto un sacco di uscite. Quella di cui abbiamo parlato oggi è l'ultima, è in pre-order al momento, uscirà tra pochissimo. La potete prendere in digitale o la potete prendere in cassettina. La versione cassettina include anche questi artwork fatti sempre da lui, perché è anche lui un Leonardo che sa fare musica, sa fare video, sa fare arte, insomma è una bella persona. Tra l'altro dovreste vedere che VJ clamoroso che è. I'm telling that you are also a very good VJ.
yeah, it's fun to do. I was going to say, of course, it was strange period, but for every musician and artist, during the whole Corona period, and I guess especially in Italy, the lockdowns were very strict, and it's the fact that you couldn't play any gigs. It's something that's we are all very passionate about, and all of a sudden this was not possible for a long time. So I was also surprised. I'm also doing visuals for CFX Asset Group, who is also a big Amiga enthusiast, also makes his own animations. So yeah, when I was playing a gig with him, being in front of an audience and being able to project stuff on a big screen again, it's something that you realize that it's, sometimes you take it almost for granted. You play a gig and it's like, yeah, sure, another gig, another crowd. But if you haven't been able to do something like this for a while, it's you realize how lucky we all are as musicians and as VJs that we can show our craft to people.
I feel this so much because I played a few online shows because they were good for the community, they were good for many things, but I really hated it. I really hated playing without a crowd. Wait a second. Okay. And so yeah, I totally know where you come from, and it's just awesome to be able to plug our machines into big sound systems, to project visuals with big screens and all of that. Man, I think we should. Would you like to come to Italy to do some visuals quite soon?
Yes. Yeah, if I can stay at your grandma's house.
You can. I guess you can. She's not here anymore, but you can.
Ah,
No. That's.
interesting.
I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking. Yeah, you can. I think we should definitely organize a show with visuals. And yeah, we'll talk about this
Yeah,
right after
yeah.
the stream.
No, I was also thinking because you did all your own cooking, right? And
Oh
you're
yeah.
vegetarian also, right?
Yeah, I'm vegan.
And I heard that Italy has some reputation for its cuisine.
Oh yes.
So
I can cook for you. I can cook for you. And I am vegan, but I
ah,
Marta is not. My wife is not, and
well,
so I cook. I also cook non-vegan food for her. So
nice. Yeah,
I will do I will cook food in exchange for Amiga visuals or MSX music.
that sounds good. Yeah, I was going to say I've been a vegetarian since I'm 5 or something,
Oh,
like a long
nice.
time. Yeah, right.
It's a very recent thing for me. I've been doing this for like 2 years, and I feel wonderful.
All
And
right.
it's really is wonderful to me.
Yeah, yeah. The only downside for me is that you know you'd think I would be more slim, but yeah, it's sugar drinks that spoil it for me.
Yeah, it's not about meat there. It's just about the drinks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, man, we will have drinks in Italy very soon. Let's talk about this. And
yeah.
thank you so much for your time. The release is awesome. Voi prendete la sua release su Bandcamp, ascoltatevi la roba e venite magari anche a parlarne su livello segreto, che è una cosa bella. We've been running a Mastodon instance for the last year.
Hmm.
And of course, now that Twitter is kind of going to
Yeah,
shit, there's lots of people on the instance, and it's a very nice place to talk about music. So we will talk about your music on our Italian Mastodon instance.
if anyone has any questions that they want me to answer in the chat or something, just send it to me and I'll send it back to you as well as I can.
Se avete domande potete mandargliele e vi risponderà al più presto. But also we will, if you enjoyed this, because I enjoyed this very much, we can do a few more. Maybe we can also showcase the Amiga one day if you want.
Oh yeah,
What you do with the, because I've seen it.
yeah,
And it's a very interesting setup with the two Amigas and the video mixer and the stuff.
yeah.
It's lots of interesting stuff. So Julian, thank you so much for your time. Awesome
Grazie
release,
mille.
and talk to you soon and see you soon, hopefully, in real life.
Arrivederci.
Ciao ciao amico.
Ciao.